Hey guys, excuse me, I want to tack on a bit of a video extra to this particular video. I uploaded my part 7 of the Stewart Warner last night, and I got a reply back from our good buddy old Radio Al, and he made me aware that these celluloid dial scales that we're needing for my set are kind of a scarce item. And it got me to doing some digging and thinking about some stuff. So I went over to the Radio Museum site and I plugged in our chassis number, R110A, and this is a variation of one of the radios Stewart Warner built as a tabletop radio. Rather attractive set that uses our chassis that our big console uses. Very similar. Even down to that must have been factory, them covered up wire connections I cut out of there. And boy, you thought they would have done something different with that. And with mine, I'm thinking about adding a plug, find something that looks nice and looks professional in there. That way, if the chassis ever needs serviced, it can be unplugged from the speaker, which in mine, the speaker, of course, sits below the board that holds the chassis up. That's one variation. Here's another variation of the R110 chassis cabinet design. This is another rather attractive looking radio, but none of us give us an outside the cabinet glimpse of what that dial scale looks like. And that looks very familiar. This particular one has the antenna wire running down the cord. Mine don't have that. Mine has the antenna wire running out the side of the chassis and just hangs out there in space. That's a very nice looking radio. I like that. Ornamental all the way down to the feet. You know, you wonder, when these radios were new, what was the price on these? I know what seems like pennies on the dollar today was actually, hundreds of dollars if you convert it over from what people used to make on the hour and stuff like that back in the 30s and 40s and late 20s when these radios were new. Now, I also found, in addition to our table and our other radio, that Stewart Warner had another chassis design, which ours is a 110A. They had a 110B, and they even had a 110E. Of course, the very first one I showed you, the tabletop set, kind of like an old Philco, is a Canadian design, and they had United States designs as well. So, finding out that tidbit of information online, I took what was left of our dial scale and taped it back together to kind of show you what it looks like. Now, I don't have the top. I searched the cabinet in desperation thinking, well, maybe it fell back behind something. No, it didn't. It's not in there. And the odd part about this tuner is that it goes, instead of 55 on this side, it's 1700. It's backwards to a normal dial scale where you have the low end stations at 55 on the left hand side and the high end stations at 1700 on the right hand side. But let me show you something I did find with another radio I own that's pretty similar to this. It's not going to be a replacement, but it kind of sheds a little bit more light of where I can start looking possibly for one of these. What we are looking at right now is the radio chassis out of my RCA 210 console, this guy right here. And this is a tiny little compact chassis. And this thing needs a lot of help. $5 for this at a garage sale. And what I noticed is the dial scale on this particular one. Now this one's set up like I said most broadcast dial scales are, with the 55 at the low end and the 1600 or 1700 at the high end. Now the Stewart Warner also receives shortwave from, I'm not sure what the ranges go from, probably, well, I'd have to look, I don't want to talk out of turn, but it also has a shortwave scale, which on our Stewart Warner is inside of the broadcast scale around the inside. But the size of this is very, very comparable to our Stewart Warner. And as a matter of fact, just by looking at it, the Stewart Warner is just a little bit bigger than what the RCA's dial scale is. But it's a start. You know, kind of gives me an idea what to look for. But the thing of it is, I got to find when it's inverted backwards on the scale. Now, this particular radio, like I said, it needs a lot of help, and I've posted a few videos of this one. And this will be another fun restoration. Totally unmolested. There was nothing that's ever been changed in this set whatsoever. And it has all its original, at least what I would expect to be original Cunningham tubes in it. There's all my my notes I've made. Oh boy, it's been a while since I worked on that one. I didn't buy this last year. I think I bought this one the year before, in fall, one of the late garage sale seasons. And our speaker for this particular one's back here. Here's a Philco I'll get to one of these days. This is a photo finished Philco, but the paint is flaking off. It has crusty tube sockets. It's going to need some attention. I give I think $20 for that one at an antique store. Okay, not the subject of the video. I'm getting off track. But yeah, I'm going to have to start looking at some different alternatives to what to do. So Al, thanks for the heads up, and I hope the posts from Radio Museum will kind of help you guys out. So I swear this time this is it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later on.